Hey family, on November 20th through December 1st, 2022, we will have the all-inclusive Kenya trip. Now, a lot of times people have said, hey, Phil, when's the next trip we'd like to go? I want to see Africa for myself, but this is the time to go. Everything will be taken care of. All excursions are paid. You can do monthly payments. You know, they'll have safari and a 6-city tour. You will see Charlie Island, which is something that we did not see last time on the tour. This tour will be 12 days instead of 7 days. So make sure to secure your place on the trip by going to www.wbsvs.com, make your deposit, and then you can start making your payments, and we'll see you in Kenya. So Francia Marquez has overcome racism and classism and become Colombia's first black vice president. Now, Marquez's mom, who once worked as a housekeeper, says she was also second to be in command to the president after she and her running mate won the country's election on Sunday. As an activist for Afro-Colombian and environmental rights, Marquez worked the campaign trail in African garments, in jewelry, and an Afro puff. It said Marquez's political teammate, President-elect Gustavo Petro, is a former guerrilla, who topped a real estate millionaire in a runoff election. They say the win shifts the political climate in the South American country, which has been historically led by conservatives and social elitists. Say Marquez is a political newcomer, but she has been fighting corporations for the last 2 decades to protect Afro-Colombian communities and their lands. It says, I am someone who raises my voice to stop the destruction of rivers, forests, and moors. It said Marquez wrote on her campaign website, I am someone who dreams that one day human beings will change the economic model of death to make way for building a model that guarantees life. Now, they say the 40-year-old, reportedly grew up sleeping on a dirt floor, in a part of the country's plagued by violence and poverty. They say she was pregnant at 16. She started working in the gold mines and later became a live-in maid, according to reports. She started pushing for social change in her teens and gained public notoriety in 2014 for organizing a march against mining of La where she grew up. It says since her first rally, Marquez has earned a law degree and was awarded the Goldman Prize, the equivalent of the Nobel Prize. For the environment. In 2019, she appeared on the BBC's list of the 100 most influential women in the world. Now, Marquez says she ran for office because our governments have turned their backs on the people and on justice and on peace. They say her candidacy has sparked discussions about race in the country, has denied the existence of racism. They still some of Marquez's critics have attacked her with racist tropes and classist blows. Others have doubted her competency. Oh, well, you know, when they doubt a black person's competency or saying basically you're not educated enough or you don't know what you're doing, that is a racist trope as well. I want black folks to know that. That is a racist trope. And you understand that and recognize that as such and call them out on that. Because you notice they never say nothing about anybody else like that, just black people. Well, are you competent enough to do this job? You have enough education? But they never ask nobody else that question. Now, even though in a lot of Latin American countries, you have big populations of black people in Latin American countries, but black folks have never really ascended, well, except this sister here, ascended to be vice president or president in these countries. Look at Brazil. Brazil is more than 50% black, and yet no black person has become the president of Brazil. It's always the whiter skinned looking ones, and they wage hella war against our Brazilian brothers and sisters down there. Most slaves went to Brazil than they came to the Americas, to be honest with you. Now, it says Sergio Guzman, director of the Columbia Risk Analysis, a consulting firm, says that there are a lot of questions as to whether Francia would be able to be commander-in-chief if she would manage the economy policy, or foreign policy in a way that would provide continuity to the country. But unshaken, Marquez, stood behind her roots and kept them central to her campaign. She says, I am an Afro-Colombian woman. It said a single mother of 2, who gave birth to her first child at the age of 16 and worked in households to pay the bills. It said, but I am also an award-winning environmental activist. It said, above all, a lawyer to become Colombia's first black vice president. Is that Colombia has the second largest population and say of people of African descent in Latin America. It's that Afro-Colombians represent over 6.2% of Colombia's population. Although the numbers may be undercounted, oh, that sounds about right, because they never really want to count black folk. They never really want to know how many of us there. You would think they would be smart enough so you know exactly how many people in general is in your country. They do that here in America. Black folks are undercounted. You are a fool and a half if you think that black folks are 13% of the population. We were okay. I mean, come on, y'all can't be this silly. But I think a lot of you, unfortunately, are. So since the early 70s, when they said that we only 13% of the population, all the way to 2022, we still 13% of the population. That means that forever, how many people die, how many people born got to die in the same year for that to happen? And that's not even happening. It's not. Even you look at the amount of gun violence that happened in the black community, it ranges to what, maybe from 6 to, at some years, 8,000 people dying in the community of gun violence. That's actually is bad, but that's nothing on a blip of our population. I would say heart disease and cancer and all that taking out way more folks than even gun violence is. That's just realistically. But even that isn't taking out that many people in the black community. It's not. So in no way we are 13% of, and in the 70s when black folks was having still bigger families in the 70s still. This is way before the crack era. No, come on. Now, they said that Barack Obama kind of did like an off-the-record population tally of black people, and they said something about 31%, 31, 32%. That's what they said, but they just never went with Barack Obama's number. But that sounds about right. Black folks are 13% of the population. That's crazy. Anyway, so they said that, of course, we talked about Afro-Colombians representing 6.2%, but they being undercounted. They say about 31% of the Afro-Colombian population lives in poverty, compared to 20% of the national population. Now, I say Francia Marquez comes from a civil society and not from the traditional political elite. They said there's an argument that she plays on and that goes greatly in her favor, said Olga Lucia Gonzalez. They said an associate researcher and specialist on Colombia at the University of Paris de Roth. It says she brings it with her issues that until now have been totally forgotten, like the relationship to colonialism, sexism, and racism that happens in Colombia. But so I would say, shout out to, Vice President Marquez. Shout out to her. I hope she continued to speak up, for Afro-Colombians. They are definitely, people that's there. I know like my niece was supposed to be a roommate with a girl from Colombia, actually, Afro-Colombian young lady, but I think she couldn't come to the U.S. after. I don't know what happened with her student visa, but that was supposed to be her roommate. I said, oh, okay, she's from Colombia. Like I said, black folks, we are everywhere. And I told y'all, part of what I'm, definitely I'll be more free to start doing that next year, is to travel to countries and just find black people and show y'all we are everywhere. We are everywhere. And unfortunately, in America, we have been purposely dumbed down. We have been purposely taught to be ignorant. And I mean, not just black people, but all people. Because some of the comments that even people make about other countries, or even you talk about the Caribbean, Africa, or whatever, when they ask silly questions about, do they have good hotels? How does they do with the running water? Like it just, but you can get frustrated with it because you can say, well, just go to Google and start doing your research. Hell, you can just look on YouTube and start looking at information about different countries just on YouTube. I mean, that's like one of the easiest things that you can do. They got black expats in all these different countries telling you what's going on. That's even black Americans showing you their life experiences or whatever, right? Now, of course, every country got good and every country got bad, of course. I mean, there's no country under the sun that's going to be extremely perfect. But, sometimes some people's bad may not be the bad of where you live. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes say, I can deal with that. I just don't want to deal with this. Because no place you go is going to be perfect. I mean, that's just, the truth. But let's see what this sister, do for the people. That's the only thing I want to see. What she speaks about. We definitely keep an eye on her. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about, this sister here. So becoming, Colombia's first black vice president. I know a lot of black people have been going to Colombia. I know a lot of y'all been going down there to get your teeth done and all kind of other things y'all doing down there. Some people have even moved to Colombia. I know a lot of the brothers have been going to Colombia as of late, talking about they want to marry women from Colombia. That's been a big conversation as of late. But outside of all of that, like I said, I think y'all should go visit Colombia. Why not? It's go try it out. Go meet up with your people.
Is it hard to access affordable, healthy food? Then listen carefully. Daryl Addison, an African-American inventor, has patented a process for growing food on demand. He called it Torpedo Pot. Torpedo Pot is a fully automated flower pot that gives you control over your plant's environment. All you do is add soil, seeds, and plants to the flower pot and watch it grow. Yes, Torpedo Pot grows the rest. Visit www.torpedopot.com.